Let me talk to you about the experience of Vegas. You walk in, and all you are is bombarded. You are literally bombarded by the material world. Every sense in your being is bombarded with colors of light, flashing billboards, noise, sound. Divine is expressing more uniquely there than you've ever seen anywhere in your life. And it's going to shift, and it's going to shape, and it's going to change. And you get into a hotel. Now, when you go into the hotel and you go into that lobby, there's no way to go anywhere but through the casino. And the casino is really a metaphor about life. Because when you get in this casino, there are bright lights. There are women scantily clothed. There are good-looking men scantily clothed. There are signs flashing everywhere. There is music constantly blaring. It is not the music you're going to meditate to. It's not the music you're going to connect into oneness to. It is bombardment, one after another. And then you're moving through the casino. But there's not a straight path. There is zigs and there is zags, and I guarantee you, it took me till my last day, day number 5, and I realized it was 20 yards to get out to the restaurant. I had gone maybe a mile and a half every other day to find the restaurant. It is so uniquely designed, you see, and everything is about keeping the light, the temperature, everything's about keeping it the same, so you think nothing has changed. You are caught in this image, this likeness of what they want you to do. And the key thing is to get you to gamble. They will do everything to get you there because why? It's always stacked in the decks in their favor. Isn't that about life, what we have out there? Isn't it about that there's all this manipulation happening around us that wants us to do this, to buy this, to do that? I reflect back to the first time I did my Vipassana meditation, 10 days of silent meditation, and I left it on a Sunday morning to come back and speak at Agape. And as I left, I hadn't spoken. I mean, I was in a state of unbelievable peace. That's hard to imagine, isn't it? As much as I talk. I didn't want to speak, but then I got, and as I drove on the road, all I saw were billboards. And the billboards alone caused me extreme discomfort because it was a bombardment of message. It was not a message I wanted. It was not a message I chose. It was a message just being bombarded at me. Now think about if I'd gone from Vipassana to Vegas. Holy God. Now can you imagine? We had the Centers for Spiritual Living had their annual gathering with like 400 ministers and 500 people, about 400 ministers, practitioners, laity, all over the world coming to this in Las Vegas. Spiritual people in Las Vegas. So here's what I noticed, is that the energy of Las Vegas started to affect the spiritual people. And the behaviors of the spiritual people were more in line with Las Vegas. There was the idea of complaining, the idea of arguing, the idea of not being in consensus building. It was my way or your way. It was us versus them type of thing that was happening, okay? Here's what I also realized is I would wake up in the morning. I was a good boy. So all you people that think that Lee was bad, you're wrong. Lee was a good boy. I was in bed really early. I didn't drink. I had one drink while I was there. I'll share that experience later. I had one drink while I was there. I was in bed early, 8:30, 9. If I went to a show, I was in bed at 10. So I wasn't out late. But I was up early to do my spiritual practice, and you would do your spiritual practice. And this is really going to be the point of this talk. I've taught you, if you've been coming for a while, I've taught you spiritual practice is everything. We do our meditation, we do our prayer, our affirmations, we do everything. Now the question is, what do you do when you go into life? What do you do when you walk into Vegas? What do you do when you are being bombarded with life beyond anything you've imagined? How do you respond when the crap is coming at you from every direction and it's not of your choosing? How are you responding with your thoughts, with your words, and with your actions? It was really incredible. It was probably the second night. If you don't know me, I have 2 wives. I'm Mormon by birth. That's a joke. And I do have a second wife, and that's my prayer partner, Reverend Marshall Lehman. And we're together at conferences, and we do things together. We're close couples, her and her husband, and Jean and I. And we're at dinner at this restaurant at the Bellagio called Sensei. And Sensei is a very upscale restaurant. And we're sitting there, and the waiter comes up, and he's really rather abrupt. And I'm noticing that, and that's not what I consider 5-star, 4-star dining experience. And so I start saying, how's your day? So my day's okay. I said, looks like you got something on your mind. I says, I know you're a happier man than that. And he looked at me. I says, we're going to have a really good night tonight because I know that we're going to have a phenomenal dining experience and you're going to be a part of it. He walks away. Comes back. Can I take your order? Big smile on his face. And Marcia goes, Lee, do you want some of these Brussels sprouts? I said, Marcia, I hate Brussels sprouts. I just hate Brussels sprouts. And he looks at Marcia and he says, it's one of the best things on the menu. And Marcia says, well, get it. And I look at her, because we share everything. When we go out, we share. We pass things. We want to try all new things. So he's there. And he comes back. And he brings the Brussels sprouts. And I'm looking at him, and I'm wondering, what's so special about these Brussels sprouts? And he looks at me, he says, 1 bite and you're hooked. 1 bite of a Brussels sprout. Can you even imagine? Where's Brian Brickman? Brian Brickman, have you ever eaten a Brussels sprout in your life? Never. Brian, I put my fork into the smallest of the Brussels sprouts. And I took that Brussels sprout up, and I put it in my mouth, and I went into euphoric bliss. It was the best thing I've ever eaten. Marcia had 4 Brussels sprouts. I had 15. You see, this man, what did I do? Is I put an intention that this man was going to change, and he changed, and the evening changed. It gets more. This young woman walks up. I'm going to guess she's 26, 28. Very attractive, as you would expect, and got a very professional camera, and goes, I would like to take your picture. And Marcia's sort of going, I'm there, please go ahead. And so she's there, and it's not like just get together. She's lining you up in poses, getting your arms a certain way. You're leaning into each other. And she's got about 8 shots now, and she says, 1 more shot. I would like to have the 2 of you kiss. And Marcia and I both at the same time said, you've confused us. We're not married. And she says, oh my God, I'm sorry. And she says, you 2 look so happy together. I guess in her mind, you have to be married to be happy. And I said, no, we're ministers, and we're at a conference, and we're prayer partners, and we're best of friends. And she goes, really? What kind of minister are you? And we said, we're religious science ministers. We're part of the Centers for Spiritual Living. And she said, where are you from? And I said, I'm from Dallas, and she's from Houston. And so we go on with this, and then she says, I want to talk to you afterwards. Well, I'll have your pictures after you're done eating. So Marcia and I are leaving the restaurant, had a magnificent time. We're leaving the restaurant. We haven't seen this beautiful Renee. We haven't seen Renee yet. And we're walking out. We're in the hallway of the Bellagio, which is absolutely magnificent. They've got all this blown glass flowers hanging from the ceiling. It was like a sculpture. It was like being in paradise. And she comes up, oh, there you are, there you are. And she brings up these two things, and there were just beautiful pictures. An independent one of me with two of us together, an independent one of Marcia and two of us together. And we're there, and we just looked at her and said, no, it's not what we came for. I said, but I would like the picture of me here on a floppy disk. Would you do that for me? And she says, yes, I would. And she said, so talk to me about what you teach. I said, well, did you ever hear about the movie The Secret? And she says, oh my God. She says, that movie changed my life. I've been looking for something like that movie to take myself deeper. I said, well, you found it. I said, the Centers for Spiritual Living teaches those thoughts. I said, Unity teaches those thoughts. I said, there's a Center for Spiritual Living here in Las Vegas. She says, you don't understand what it's like to try to be spiritual in this environment. With all this noise and all this focus, it's almost impossible to be spiritual. I said, no, it isn't. You're being spiritual no matter what you're doing. You see, we've separated. We've got this thing that spiritual is this and non-spiritual is this. There's no such thing as non-spiritual. There's only awareness. So anyway, I gave her my card, and I said, here are 210 talks. Go watch them. Go out there, and I gave her the name of my favorite book. I read this, and when you're done, call me. I'll give you more. Tears are flowing from this young lady's eyes. She says, you don't know how I needed this. I came to get a really clear understanding that, yeah, meditation and prayer and affirmations and gratitude are wonderful, but who are you being in every moment of your day? What are the words we're speaking to ourselves first, to others? What are our actions? You see, that's the spiritual practice. You see, we talk about building a mental image of that which we desire, but we must step into that image and become it. And in the becoming of it, we must act completely different. You see, we must act as if we were that man or that woman. I use the term, we must become authentic, but we must be authentically kind. You see, when you're in the midst of the crap, when you're in the midst of the confusion, kindness is all anyone around you is seeking. They're seeking someone to recognize. People are so disconnected. They're so disconnected from their source. Think about it. We're bombarded every day by all of this distraction. Your lives are distracted enough. You've got the TVs going. You've got the radios going. You've got your work going. You've got your whatever, all the friends that you've got that are probably not in all that much alignment. They're hitting you with all of this stuff. You got Facebook bombarding you. You've got all of this stuff. And you're there. You're saying, well, what am I going to do? How am I going to be? How am I going to be peaceful? The question I ask is, how are you going to be kind? How are you going to walk out and be kind with your words, with your actions, with your thoughts? See, if you're kind, can you be judgmental? Really takes you right out of being in judgment, doesn't it? Being kind, there's no judgment. If you're kind, are you attached to what someone does? Are you attached? No, because your whole purpose is being kind. There were a lot of people I was very kind to in Las Vegas, talking to bus drivers, talking to taxi drivers, talking to maitre d's or waitresses. There were a lot of people I was very kind, smiled, how are you, being back. I never got it back. Didn't matter. Didn't matter. You see, I built an energy around me that says kind. And what could come into the kindness? Only kindness. So the only experiences I had were those that were a vibrational match to me. Anything other than that stood away. It was fascinating. We'd be walking down the street. We did a lot of walking. Lots of walking with Marcia, with other people that I was going, and we were doing things, walking like you can't imagine. And when you're walking in Vegas, those streets are packed, and they're full of all sorts of people trying to solicit you. And I just sort of said to whoever I was with, I would say, just be next to me and follow me. Nothing will happen. Because when you have an energy and you walk, if it's not like you, it parts. It's like, there's a swarm of fish where you've got a school of fish, millions of fish just swimming, and you walk and they part. That's the same thing. When your energy is pure, when your energy is clean, when you are deliberate in your energy, whatever is unlike you moves away. The power of the conscious mind is more powerful than a million unconscious minds. And the power of a conscious mind is one that moves, knowing who they are, through everything with kindness, with love, with authenticity, with empathy, with peace, and with beauty. You see, when you're being that, when you're talking like that, when you're acting like that, and when you're authentic, is that not beauty? You can tell a person's beauty by reading their energy. It is not the clothes that they wear. It is not the clothes that they're not wearing. Did you get that? It's the energy that they project out. And here's the key thing. You can't hide the energy we project. It doesn't matter how much deodorant, cologne, how we style our hair, what clothes we put on. That energy that we are radiates from us, and it is felt by everyone. We may think that we're fooling people. We don't fool anyone. Because the people who are awake, the people who are aware, the people who we really want to connect with, they can feel and know that energy. You can't hide. You cannot hide your truth. You see, when you are being in truth, you have an energy that exudes. When you are not being your truth, you have an energy exudes, and people know it, and they respond to you according to that. When you want authentic, real, loving relationships, you must be authentic, real, loving, and kind. That's why I had to come to grips with, for me, the toughest thing I've had to come to grips with is my sarcasm. I love sarcasm. I used to love sarcasm. I'm liking it even less and less and less. I would even venture today that Beverly Travis could beat me in sarcasm today, because I've lowered my standards for myself. You don't know Beverly Travis. I do know Beverly Travis, and we were masters at this. We would banter back and forth. We'd have that beautiful relationship of banter. But what I've come to understand, I thought that was a beautiful relationship. I much prefer the relationship I have with Beverly now, that's based on being truthful and honest and loving, based on being kind. See, when you're kind, it feels easy. When you're kind, it is easy. You've heard me say from the platform before, relationships are easy. I believe that with my whole heart and soul. In my marriage of 42 and a half years, it's easy now. It's easy now because Jean and I have learned to be kind. My prayer partners, Raz, Molly, and Marcia, who were all there, we had the most phenomenal times together because we were kind to each other. We listened authentically to each other. And then people that we would draw in, like Chris and all these other ministers that we would come into our space, they were kind too. And so when you went and you did things and you're surrounded by kind people, it was incredible. There was this woman who was there. We weren't at the Jersey Boys. We're watching Jersey Boys and watching that show, which is a phenomenal show, and they had a halftime. And I turned around, and our seats were dead center, about 15 rows back, and they had a sound booth there. And I was sitting right against the sound booth, and I chose those seats because there would be no one behind you, which is great because you really have privacy there. And so we're sitting there, and I got up, and I was stretching, I turned around, and there was a woman running the sound booth. And she had a frown on her face and that. And so I just started talking to her. How are you? How long have you been doing this? Did you have an education in it? Oh, yes, where have you? I was in New York. Oh, did you come to New York? You came to Las Vegas. Why? I said, my husband got a job here. He's running a show over here. I said, and we started talking, and she all of a sudden picked up, and I started asking her questions about, so what's the volume that you keep it at? What's the normal thing? How do you do all this? And she just opened up. And when we left, she walked up to me and says, thank you for the conversation, and gave me a big hug. You see, I don't know what experience others had in Las Vegas. I know that the experience I had was phenomenal. The experience that I had was phenomenal because of one reason, and one reason only. I chose it to be that. You see, we set our intention in any situation, in any relationship we go to. We set that intention by every word we speak. So when I'm there, I set the intention. I am going to be present. I'm going to be kind. I'm going to be considerate. I'm going to be open to new ideas, to new ways of being. I'm going to be open to experiencing people. I'm going to let my light shine, and no matter what, I am not going to allow it to be diminished by the system that's been created there. Now, I want you to know, for all of you that are keeping track, I did not meditate twice a day in Vegas. But I'll say this, I was more aware in Vegas than I was here because I was forced to be aware because of the decision I had made. You see, it wasn't anything else. It was my decision to be aware. So the question is, how do you change the world? One act of kindness at a time. One act of kindness followed by another act of kindness, by another act of kindness. Where do acts of kindness start? With ourselves. If we've been really hectic and our lives are really, 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 really busy, a kindness is saying, today I'm taking a day for me. I'm putting off all other things out there, and I'm taking a day to replenish myself. How I choose. And how do I do that kindly? I would look at my wife and I would say to her, Jean, I need a day, so if you have the day free. You don't have to worry about me. You don't have to consider with me. If I want anything, I'll let you know, but I'm going to go take care of Lee today. If I disempowered my wife in any way, shape, or form, I've really authentically communicated, haven't I? I've sort of said, this is where I am, this is where I'm being. In kindness, I said, this has nothing to do with you. She doesn't have to worry if I'm mad or anything like that. No, I need some time for Lee. My battery's a little low. I need to spend some kind time loving on Lee. Does that make sense? Now, when I come out of that, I'm recharged. I'm rejuvenated. I'm all charged up. Now, what can I do easier? It's easier for me to be kind. But when we're caught in this razzle-dazzle, all of this stuff, and someone puts a demand on us or what we perceive as a demand, it's not easy to be kind. We lash out in reaction. Wait, you're intruding on me. You're intruding on me. You're intruding on me. No, wait, they're not intruding on you. You haven't told them that you needed time. See, Vegas is about waking up to who you are and then stepping into your own truth and being there. So when people say, how was your experience in Las Vegas? I said, it was life transformational. I didn't win millions of dollars, but I came away understanding Lee more. And when I understand Lee more, I can live more consciously. I can live more fully. I can live more lovingly. And if I can live that and be that, then I'm an example. If I'm an example, then others who are anywhere near that vibration can do the same thing. And then one by one, we get together, and when we build this consciousness, we build this idea, and what do? We change the world. You see, that's the key. We change one life at a time, and as we change one life at a time, the world changes. It's the only way we change the world. Is we go within first. We love within first. We know the truth within first. And then we take that truth into the world. And it doesn't matter what path we're on. It doesn't matter what's ahead of us, because we know who we are. We are the emanation of all that is. You see, we are not God. We are a unique expression of that. So a lot of people say, you are bold to say that you're God. I didn't say I'm God, because that means I'm everything. I'm not that, but I'm a unique expression of that. Which means as that unique expression, I am infinite, I am all-knowing, I am all-powerful where? In my world, not in anyone else's world. Here's the key, you've got to remember, you are all powerful in your world. There's no one that's going to make you happy. There's no one that can make you sad. There's no one that's going to bring you abundance. There's no one that's going to bring you health. There are people around you that will support you and nourish you and help you and guide you when you're open to that. But the power to do this is you. That's a choice. To look in the mirror and say, I know who I am. I am what the infinite chose to be. And if the infinite chose to be it, it's perfect. You see, right now, you're perfect. You don't need any more makeup. You don't need to change your hair color. You don't need to put on a different outfit. You don't need to have a new partner. You don't need to have a new job, more money. You're perfect. Can you get it? Say that with me. I am perfect. I am perfect. Let's do it again a little louder. I am perfect. Say it again. I am perfect. Say it again. I am perfect. One more time, real loud. I am perfect. And I am grateful that you see it. I want to thank you for joining us today. I am so grateful that you took your time to watch or listen to this message. If you found this message beneficial, I would ask you to go to our website. Once there, click on the Contribute button and experience the joy of conscious and purposeful giving. It is through your gifts that we are able to bring this message to the world. I would also ask you to please share this message with anyone you feel might benefit. Again, I want to thank you for joining me and the Agape community as together we bring joy to life.